The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
It's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning on the Friday, the 18th of November 2022. And remember, tomorrow is Happy International Men's Day. So if you haven't done the right thing for your uncle, your brother, your cousin, and the right thing is not happy socks, the right thing is all the effort that you can do for my brothers, my fathers, my uncles. Please put yourself in order. Rabatla Cologne, we want spa days. We want trips to Cape Town. We want all the nice things. Let's match the effort, and shout out to all the men that have done amazing work over the years. All the good men that are trying to make men a better brand. Kings and queens, welcome to the Stars and Stripes show. And in the building for the Meet America policy discussion, I have Mr. Brian Smizer, the Economic and Commercial Officer of the U.S. Embassy. How are you, Brian?
Swift, good to be back. How are you?
Yeah, complaining doesn't pay my bills. How was your week?
And not so bad also. Good to be with you. And it's been a busy week with Global Entrepreneurship Week, so looking forward to chatting about it.
Fantastic. You know, one thing about entrepreneurship, like I rightfully said, is solving problems. And, you know, one thing that attracts Swift is, you know, the principle of ideation. Ideation is important because it allows business analysts and developers to pinpoint and address any potential issues with different sectors of the economy. I think we need to cultivate a school of thought of ideation, because ideation leads to entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is solving problems. But look, what is the forecast for entrepreneurship in Botswana? What are you seeing? I mean, you've done a lot of work between building bridges between Botswana and the US and vice versa.
Well, let's start with entrepreneurship as a pathway for solving problems. I think you're spot on. And then your ideation concept is also on point, because really that's the bridge from the bit of solving problems to the bit of harnessing opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really those two combined where entrepreneurship really has some fertile territory here in Botswana.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I know we've spoken about clean energy, I think, exhaustively before.
Yes.
But whether it's that, whether it's agriculture, whether it's mining, you know, there's a lot of areas for entrepreneurship to continue. At the U.S. Embassy, we're looking at a lot of that stuff. But even as we heard in the State of the Nation address earlier this week, right? So the interest in citizen economic empowerment, moving toward sort of an innovative economic setting, digitization, diversification, you know, all of those things, they really matter. But it really starts with these initial things: are identifying the problems, identifying the opportunities that are there, having the ideation that gets us from point A to point B. And then something I think that we're really looking to see developing here in Botswana that maybe hasn't gotten quite to that point yet is the business-to-business relationship. You know, at the moment, and you know, it serves Botswana's purposes very well, but most business is really the business-to-government. So seeing that business-to-business relationship flourish is something that we're really looking toward, and seeing how we can help push that forward.
And that's what leads to economic growth and growing the private sector, which translates into job and job creation and creates so many multiplier effects. So it's important that, you know, we encourage business-to-business, you know, relationships within the economic industry, for lack of a better word. Well, look, how does the U.S. work with and connect entrepreneurs in Botswana? You know, this is something that I don't know whether we can call it an information gap. I don't know whether we need to start thinking of the world as a global village. You know, there's plenty of opportunities. For example, have you ever had mopani worms, Brian?
I have.
I've always thought of, you know, canning mopani worms and exporting them to the US, because, you know, in terms of cuisine, that's organic, that's high protein.
I'm convinced if you grind that, maybe mix that with some egg, I think you can make like a really nice hamburger patty.
Yeah, I like that. But talk to us about, you know, the connection between entrepreneurs in Botswana and the United States market, or the US government, or whatever opportunities are in that space.
So you mentioned thinking globally, and I think you're really spot on a lot of the way that we're looking at shaping our programming. One, Global Entrepreneurship Week, it says it all. We're happy to support it. The Global Entrepreneurship Network is based in Washington, D.C. We're excited to be a partner for that.
Great.
But even extending beyond that, you know, the U.S. has really been rolling out a number of initiatives in the past couple of years One being Prosper Africa, which is a joint cooperation across the U.S. government focused on Africa more broadly, but here we're really focusing quite profoundly on Southern Africa and Botswana's links to it, as well as within Botswana, but looking at trade connections, whether it's financial partnerships between business ventures happening here and the U.S., or whether it's tech partnerships, so there's a lot of room to grow and move. One of the things that they feature is what they call a virtual deal room, which is places where when there's a deal, whether it's, a business in Botswana looking for a partner, they're able to post those deals and help track down partners on the U.S. side. So there's good opportunity for cooperation there. Another thing that's really picking up here is the African Trade Initiative. So this is a USAID-led initiative. At the moment, they're exploring a lot of opportunities that'll touch on Botswana, whether it's on food security, fintech, financial technology, energy, and other things. It's something we're really keeping an eye on as well. And then lastly, both of those things we're actively doing on the ground, connecting businesses to these initiatives, but we're also really actively involved in helping to the extent possible, facilitate the business community. So the embassy helps to convene the American Business Council in Botswana, and it's really a growing organization. We're helping it and pushing it towards sort of a good, strong point of recovery after the pandemic. And we've really seen a lot of growth even in the past couple months. And so we're excited with the trajectory that it's going, and also the role that it can play in kind of deepening, say, U.S.-Botswana commercial links, which is ultimately the goal.
Absolutely. And, when you speak of tech, the fintech space is one that is very attractive, especially for the unbanked component of the economy. I mean, the unbanked is a huge market, and, we need to drive and encourage, obviously, and cultivate a lot of our tech gurus within Botswana to look at some of those spaces. And those are opportunities that, our bilateral relationships between the American government and, of course, the BW government can birth some of these things. Look, it's not an easy route, but, there is the information. Let me ask you this, Brian. Someone is listening and saying, okay, look, it's a mouthful to digest. I want this information. I want to understand the Prosper Africa initiative. I want to understand the virtual deal room. I want to know more about these trade connections between Botswana government and the U.S. government. And, of course, the business community, the virtual business community that lies between those two stakeholders. Where can we find that kind of information?
So I'm going to put a plug in for the American Business Council as the right way to get started. So we're really linked in with them in a very connected way. You can also, of course, find us around town. You can get in touch with us, whether it's even through Muketsi, who we'll hear from in a second, or other partnerships, assorted expos and whatnot. But I'm going to make a plug for the American Business Council because it's a really good network. I sit on the board of directors of the American Business Council, but otherwise it's a collection of businesses. The name can be a little bit misleading. Maybe it makes you think that it's these giant U.S. companies. Actually, it does. Most of them are small, medium-sized Botswana companies.
Wow.
So with a U.S. link. So those links could be anything from folks who studied in the U.S. to have an interest in exporting under AGOA, to have some connection in one form or another to, say, representing a U.S. brand here in Botswana. So it's a big diversity of things. It's not exclusive to, say, these giant Silicon Valley firms or something like that, which might be what comes to mind. So I'm going to make a plug for them because they're an excellent pathway in shared experiences for businesses, but also as sort of a networked organization to help advance their interests. And really quickly, I'll read out their email address just because it's useful for probably listeners. It's abcbotswana.info@gmail.com. So that's the best way to get in touch with them right now. Of course, you can always reach out, and we're happy to direct there as well. One of the things that they're doing, given that we're winding down the year, those who become members through the end of the year, their membership fees will include all of next year as well. So it's a positive bit. But some of the things that we're looking to a much more active kind of post-COVID recovery 2023. We're focusing a lot at the moment on developing out some plans for a series of engagements focused on, say, solar energy, clean energy, but also sort of the financing side of things, and having these conversations about both financing in terms of bankability, but also financing for business ventures. What are the best ways to pull in resources and connect with the would-be funders around the world. So anyway, we're exploring those, we're building out plans, and we are very welcome to new input, new faces on the collective team, and looking forward to growing the ABC in the coming years.
Absolutely. And you know, one thing that these things really interest me is because we know there's an electrical vehicle revolution. There's a demand on precious metals, rare earth metals. I know that, you know, the US has a huge demand on that. Some people understand Elon Musk. Some people understand Tesla. But, you know, there's a lot of components and commodities that, you know, we have in Botswana. And, you know, this is why it's important to engage the American Business Council to understand these bridges and these trade connections and sort of build, for lack of a better word, some form of blueprint. And this is how important the Stars and Stripes radio show is to you and me. And of course, giving you the right information. You can also find more information on www.abc.org.bw. There's another plug on your behalf,
awesome.
My brother.
Thanks,
I got you. Thank you, Brian. Look, you are definitely somebody who's always willing to engage. People can engage with your office, facilitated through the U.S. Embassy. And of course, that is important. His name is Brian Smizer, Economic and Commercial Officer of the U.S. Embassy. Brian, have a fantastic day, okay?
Thank you, Swift. Much appreciated.
What's your last words before you love and leave us?
Complaining doesn't pay my bills.
I like that. That's how we go. 11:17 is your time here on the Stars and Stripes radio show. Good morning. Gabs FM, power to engage. Well, this one is Ben T. Says shine forever. And of course, good morning to you and me and the nation that is the 267. If you're listening from outside the country, we've got nothing but love for you, pending on your time zone, kings and queens. You're on the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission in partnership with Gabs FM. Hashtag America in Botswana. Talking shared prosperity, shared health, shared wealth, I think is the new one, because whether we like it or not, the shared economy is part and parcel of these kind of relationship, and bilateral relationships between the U.S. government and, of course, the BW government is an important component. How pagama kombi, you're part of the shared economy. How pagama taxi, motelo. Those are all components of the shared economy that we need to put together and understand the opportunities between the U.S. government and, of course, the BW government for you, me, and the world. And, of course, that website, the American Business Council, is www.abc.org.bw. I sincerely hope those that have ears shall listen. Kings and queens, we're moving over to the next segment called the Partner Spotlight. This is where you get to know, you know, friends of the U.S. Embassy and, of course, friends of the show, whether it is Yali alumni, Mandela Washington Fellow alumni, or people who have interacted or are benefiting, whether directly or indirectly, from some of the programming that is offered by the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. government in partnership with the BW government. And today we've got Remo Ketsi Tekere, the acting manager at Gen Botswana. Tekere, welcome to the show.
Say good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. And I'm happy to be here, Mr. Swift.
Fantastic. How was your week?
Well, very hectic. 85 events, 20 partners.
Yeah.
The Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Yes.
More than 180 countries.
Wow.
Recognizing this thing called entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Trying to inspire more than 10 million people across the world. 40,000 events.
Wow.
So, and we were lucky because Botswana picture was in this picture, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Look, give us a rundown. Somebody's listening and they're like, okay, Global Entrepreneurship Network, Global Entrepreneurship Week, what is it about? Just give us a rundown or synopsis of what this means to Botswana and the entrepreneur who's driving and listening to us now.
Yeah, well, look, the Global Entrepreneurship Network was actually set up by a U.S. Citizen who is now a billionaire.
Okay.
And he had the vision to share and connect the global entrepreneurship world, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been able to find countries, more than 200 countries that have come along and joined his network.
Okay.
And this network has been able to sort of champion all the entrepreneurship programs that you can think about around the world.
Wow.
Where you can think about embassy-based programs like the YALI,
yes.
Whether it's World Bank-related programs,
yes.
or it's other angel investing programs.
Yes.
And the fortunate thing is that the objective behind all of this is just simply trying to make sure everybody who wants to start a business can connect with anyone in any country at any point over a single second of a platform.
Wow.
And we're happy because as Global Entrepreneurship Network Botswana, which I lead the country chapter for that.
Okay.
Since 2015. We've been fortunate to be part of this community We've benefited as a business.
Okay.
We've also been able to.
So
see,
wait. Are you wearing two hats? Are you saying you're wearing a hat as an entrepreneur, so you have your own business, and of course as Gen Botswana?
100%.
Okay.
So the Gen Network is normally operated by entrepreneurs.
Nice.
It's led by entrepreneurs.
Nice.
For you to lead it in any country, whether South Africa, you need to have somebody who has started a business,
Yes.
scaled a business,
Yes.
and made money with the business.
Okay, I like that. I like that. And, that's a part of the U.S. culture. Even the U.S. presidents must have, succeeded in some way, shape, or form. So I like that a lot.
So it's like the litmus test, right? Anybody that I've seen, even in Zimbabwe, whether if in South Africa, even in Namibia, who leads the network has always started a business.
I like that.
And what I like about this week is that this week, the purpose is to connect, right? Because entrepreneurs don't normally connect. They don't know where the next person is. But it's also about also inspiring people that just want to start, right? I can tell you, like, in just this week, I met like over 40 university students that I know are going to start businesses.
Wow.
This is the power of the week.
Yeah.
I can speak about what's happened since Monday, right? Because we had a calendar of events. Since Monday, we've already got deals happening. We've got, from Monday, we've got corporate companies partnering with us. The Botswana Tourism Organization has announced a partnership with the Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Wow.
To give a platform for young Botswana that wants to develop technology solutions for the travel industry. This has been formalized and signed off.
Wow.
I can also tell you that at the event, right, we had a musician come and perform, right? One of the internet companies, Abaricom, made a public commitment to say, we are going to put internet behind this young person who plays the instrument. And they're going to sit at home and they're going to play and connect with the rest of the world over YouTube.
Yes.
We also have one company called Ripple Capital. They attended the week for the first time and they were like, look, we like what you're doing. We are pledging next year. We're going to get all our billboards during this week to profile the week. Now imagine somebody out there might just get inspired and actually see, entrepreneurship is just not about failure.
Yeah.
Somebody's actually winning somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. It's the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission in partnership with Gabs FM. And whether we like it or not, we have a youth unemployment crisis in this country. And whether we like it or not, entrepreneurship is the solution. And we need to encourage and cultivate an entrepreneurial culture within this country, because that drives to economic growth, which in turns creates jobs. But look, let's break down two things. There's what you call the startup economy and the SMME economy. Just break down the difference between those two.
Yeah, well, look, I think predominantly in Botswana, people are used to the SME economy.
Yes.
It's everywhere, right? You
Yes.
spoke about the pani.
Yes.
I can speak about the water.
Yes.
Bottling the water, right?
Yes.
I can speak about the radio, right?
Yes.
I can speak about people that are selling on the street. That is
Okay.
SME economy.
Yes.
It's nice. It's a nice concept. I like it, right?
Yes.
Because it makes sure you can eat. You can get some little things moving, but it doesn't build wealth,
Okay.
right? But now if you think about the world has moved on now, it's talking about startup economy, right?
Yes.
Silicon Valley,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Why the big four? When you speak about Cape Town, right? You speak about Kenya, right? You speak about the exciting stuff happening in Lagos, right? There's exciting stuff happening in Egypt, in Tunisia, right? You speak about digital economy. Now you're speaking about startup economy.
Yeah.
You're talking about engineers,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You say coders are in, right?
Yes.
Engineers are in, right?
Okay.
The drivers are out. The packaging people are out, right? You speak about software as a service. You speak about platform as a service. You speak about infrastructure as a service, right? Without the oxygen being the internet, there's no business. You speak about young guys that are able to create star 145 and connect 50 farmers. Now that's totally different. This is something. So startup economy is about, it's not even a business. I have to tell you, startup is not a business. It's an idea.
Yeah.
It's an idea that is driven by a problem.
Yes.
So you need problem spotters, guys that are able to say, like Tesla, Elon Musk, right? He picks a problem. He works on that problem. That problem creates impact. Money follows that.
Yes.
So the other thing about startup economy is it's not funded with just any type of money. When you go to Silicon Valley, the one thing you should learn is the money that funds businesses in the Silicon Valley, it's not bank money. It's private wealth money.
Yeah.
Family
Private
offices.
equity. Yeah.
Yeah, equity, venture capital,
Yes.
family offices. So, I like to say Botswana has created a good layer of SME economy. But now with the unemployment you speak about, right? You're talking about guys that are educated, the best universities in the world, world class. Are you expecting those guys to go and sell Mopaniwem? I think not, man. These guys need to be creating the next future. These guys are not the type of guys that I want to be going and looking after cattle in the bush. It's okay, right? Don't do it. But
although there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a choice. You can choose to either go the SME route or go the startup economy route. But I'm thinking about a guy now who I know, Modisa R. A Motswana guy who's created a platform that can tell you in real time where your cattle are right now, what they've eaten in the morning. Why we thought I had Modisa R. It's a Modisa. You know what a Modisa is, right?
Yes.
That's a platform.
Yes.
It works. I can speak about a guy called Martin Stimela, M-Agri, connecting all the farmers in Botswana in real time, telling you what's happening in the Wikipedia of Botswana.
Wow.
So all these businesses are startups. So I think the next level for Botswana's young person is to create a digital startup. Well, you can call it. So I like that because all people that don't understand, they confuse the language. They think an SME is a startup, and an SME a startup doesn't turn into an SME. You need to know that because startups about wealth. You know, Elon Musk doesn't create this company so that it's about money. It's about money. It's about impact.
Okay.
So, and it's about disruption. It's about things that you would not imagine.
Yes.
Right? You can think about a radio show, right? Some guy can create a podcast now that will close you down.
God forbid.
So I'm just warning you.
Not me, brother. Not me. But I'm here. I'm with you.
This is the power that we have seen with guys create platform.
Okay.
That it replaces the normal, right?
Yes.
So this is startup economy.
Look, and I love what you're talking about. It's very important and we need to embrace it. I also think, just to add on, is that this is why we also need to review our immigration policy, because we also need to attract the talent into the country and create skill share partnerships. Because
I think you have talent. Can I stop you there and tell you, you have the best talent in the country?
No, I don't. I don't dispute that. But with the tech, building relationships with Skillshare is an important component.
You have Botswana. Let me tell you, it's guaranteed. When Andela is an American company, right?
Yeah.
Their first port before they came to Africa, their interest was Botswana.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because they knew you already had a talent base.
Yes.
Maybe what you need to say is you're looking for competency with the talent.
No, and I'm supporting what you're saying is that, look, whether we like it or not, we need to attract a lot more of these entities to come and set up shop in Botswana to create a skill share partnership. Because whether you like it or not, to build this economy it's a multifaceted variables. But let's not get too much into it. Let's talk about capital and the opportunity for capital funding through angel investors, venture capital funding for people in the tech space. Talk to me about what Gen Botswana can do in line with people in the tech space.
Let me speak about what Gen Botswana has done.
Yes.
The first angel network in Botswana that exists is because of the work of the Global Entrepreneurship Network.
Wow. That's major.
Many people don't know this. When the first lobby came in, it came through us, through Gen. It went to the World Bank. The World Bank brought in National Strategy Office, which then designed that they be a private sector-led angel network.
Yes.
That angel network today has set up, has financed some businesses. There's some Botswana, together with some foreign people that have come in and put money, their own private money, into Botswana's tech talent. So it's not theoretical.
Yes.
And the nice thing is there's something called the Global Business Angels Network, which is a chapter of the Gen Network. So it's responsible for every network that exists in the world. And so the nice thing is the type of money that you need in Botswana already exists because Botswana is a wealthy country.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. Kings and Queens, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission in partnership with Gabs FM. And of course, the theme of this week is Global Entrepreneurship Week. And we're talking to different people who are part and parcel of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. And I'm speaking to Remo Ketsi Tekere, is the acting managing director of Gen Botswana. Look, let me me give you this opportunity. We're fast running out of time, but in closing, I mean, you set and you have been part and parcel of pioneering, Gen Botswana. You've been part and parcel of, you're an entrepreneur yourself. You've been part and parcel to see a lot of gaps and opportunities. What would you say to the Motswana or and to say, look, why is it important to, at least go to www.genglobal.org and find out a lot more about Global Entrepreneurship Network, engage with your organization to find more opportunities? What would you say in your closing statement?
Look, I think for me, it's simple. We need to create our own private sector. Mm-hmm. There's no private sector in this country.
Uh-huh.
So it's the young persons that are going to create digital businesses that are going to create that. Mm-hmm. And I think what I mean with that is that, like you said before, you're looking for people that can think globally.
Yes.
Botswana is just a launch pad.
Yes.
So we need young people that can create businesses that can scale globally. Mm-hmm. We've created one. Mm-hmm. In the last 12 months, we got 200,000 pula from one of the banks. Mm-hmm. We created a platform that has brought in over 400 startups from Africa. Nice. And 65 active angel investors. It's called Pula Space. That's why I'm wearing the t-shirt.
Yes.
We've also successfully, through Gen Network, partnered with organizations like the US Embassy and the rest of the others in building this ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Because this ecosystem is a new thing. It doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. So I think what we need government to do, we need government to play fair. Mm-hmm. And when we say fair, we mean this is a co-creation process.
Yes.
Allow the talent to thrive. Mm-hmm. Create the right policy. The policies exist, but let the entrepreneur lead. Mm-hmm. If you're going to create a startup economy, you're going to let the entrepreneurs lead. Mm-hmm. Because once the entrepreneurs lead, you see success. You know what success looks like? Mm-hmm. If I create a successful $100 million Pula company, imagine how many jobs I create. So we need to measure the next success with young people that create jobs, but also thrive by having wealth, personal wealth for themselves. Mm-hmm. Then plant back in the country. We need people that are wealthy to think about investing in the future, being the young people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're fast run out of time. Thank you so much. Somebody's looking for your social media links. Somebody would like to engage with you and your team, Pula Space or, Gen Botswana. How do they find you?
Well, look, I volunteer at the Gen Network. I get the opportunity to put this week once a year.
Yeah.
Once every year. So you can just go on genglobal.org. It's free to create an account.
Yeah.
Once you create an account, you're connected with everybody globally.
Uh-huh.
If you want to connect with our company,
yes,
and our platform, just go on Pula Space. Just look for Pula Space.
Yes.
Right? Pula Space on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and you'll find I'm the easiest guys to find. If you're building tech, I'm the easiest guy to find.
Well,
it's Benedict Takera. That's it.
All right. Well, it's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. The Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission, talking entrepreneurship, talking the destiny of the citizen of this country, talking a better and future Botswana. Good morning.
Lubati. Power to engage your world is on 94.1 FM.
We're going to jump into Ask the Sharjah. This is where you get to ask the U.S. Embassy, mainly our acting ambassador, Her Excellency Amanda Jacobson, any question. And this is what you had to say. Do you have any book recommendations for young students in Botswana? And this is what you had to say.
Honestly, I just want young people to read, period. Nonfiction, fiction, biographies, graphic novels, science fiction, romance, whatever. I'm so afraid that with the prevalence of smartphones, that young people are addicted to social media instead of quality reading material. Books, newspapers, magazines, online articles, whatever. Right now I try to read 2 to 3 books a week, and I'm reading Neruda in the Park, about a Dominican American family in New York City, and Why We Swim, a nonfiction piece. I highly recommend both.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. People don't know that Warren Buffett's superpower is reading, and of course, including Bill Gates. Kings and Queens, that is Ask the Sharjah. We're going to move along swiftly with the show. The next segment coming up is, of course, where we're going to discuss a lot more, and I get to speak to Mr. Charles Shepard, the regional manager for Voice of America. What are the odds that a radio broadcaster would be engaging the Voice of America? Tune in shortly. But
The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
Well, it's Gabs FM, powered to engage your world. Welcome back to the Stars and Stripes show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. And today I get to speak to Charles Shepard, or otherwise known as Chuck Shepard, the regional manager for Voice of America. Now, Chuck, you got to tell me how Voice of America lands up in the Gabs FM studio.
Well, irony is ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you mentioned that a radio host interviewing someone from another radio station is quite interesting. But yeah, I was asked to come to actually give it a little explanation of what we're doing here at the Voice of America.
Yeah.
In Botswana, and even I would hope I can even touch a little bit on a global scale. Since this is Global Entrepreneur Week, we're not selling anything, but we do broadcast on a global scale.
Wow, that is huge.
Yes.
And of course, for us as Gabs FM, we'd like to thank the U.S. Embassy and of course the BW government and the U.S. government for, their bilateral relationships that result in these kind of situations. Look, talk to us. Does Voice of America broadcast throughout Botswana? You said it's global. You did touch on that. What platforms do you use? Things like that.
Okay, good question. No, we do not broadcast into Botswana.
Okay,
we broadcast
not yet.
Not yet. Well, actually, we don't have a reason to broadcast into Botswana. So you have to understand the purpose of Voice of America.
Yes.
Voice of America is to provide news and information. A lot of times where we broadcast to are to countries that do not have the freedom of the press, like Botswana has.
Okay.
So there's really not a reason for us to actually broadcast here. We're broadcasting across borders. Our particular site here in Salibe Pikway, we're actually broadcasting all of sub-Saharan Africa.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's some crazy power.
Yeah.
And to even get crazier, we actually are putting a signal into Iraq from Salibe Pikway.
Wow,
That
you're
much
joking.
power. No, I'm serious. I actually have listeners send me emails from Canada saying that they picked us up. Usually it's at night because the signal goes further. And what we're actually broadcasting to those countries is news, information, and a lot of time during elections, the opposition in those countries don't get a chance to come to a nice radio station like Gabs FM and actually tell the public what their viewpoints are. So what? Okay, go. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So what would happen is a journalist maybe would call into the opposition or would actually speak to them personally and then upload that story back to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. would actually filter it, make sure everything was okay, and then send it out to one of our stations to rebroadcast out to that target country. So now people are informed on what the opposition's particular views or ideas are for that country. So basically, it's a tool to allow not only the voice of the people of America to have a voice, which we have little on this thing. It's for other people to be able to speak from other countries of what's going on.
And I think that's exactly what Moketsi was speaking about in terms of tech and, radio. This is where tech and radio come together to deliver, freedom of speech and which contributes to a healthy democracy. I mean, we are the fourth organ of government, even globally. That is our job as radio broadcasters. So that is fantastic.
Now we have an app.
Yeah. You've got an app.
We have an app.
Absolutely.
You got to get it.
Yeah.
You can go to the Google Play. I've never tried it on the Apple, but to find out what we're actually broadcasting, and go and download the app and have the news instantly given to you. So not only the people listening to on the shortwave side, if they can't afford to have a phone, they can listen on the shortwave side, and if they can't have a phone, download the app and find out what's going on.
That's what Global Entrepreneurship Week is. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. Look, let's talk about the relay station and that concept.
Yes.
It's the first time I've heard of a relay station. I don't understand it. My listeners listening, they're driving, they're like, okay, what is a relay station?
All right, very good question. A relay station was a tag that we used back in the early days of Voice of of America. Now, you got to remember, Voice of America started in 1942.
Jesus.
I could sit here all day and talk about the history of Voice of America during World War II. As Germany moved across Europe, they took a propaganda machine with them, demoralized the truth. The U.S. said, we are going to actually have a radio program that's going to do the news and information. As a matter of fact, the first broadcast said, we will report the news, whether it's good or bad. We are going to tell you the truth.
Oh, I like that.
That was our first broadcast in 1942. Now, in order to get that from one station to another, we had to use radio waves. So it would start in New York, maybe go to a relay station that was in Colorado, eventually hit one in Hawaii, go to one in South America, and finally it would get to their target country.
Wow.
With technology today, internet, satellite, we're no longer a relay station. We're actually receiving the programming directly from the source and transmitting it to the country. So no, we're no longer a relay station. We are now transmitting stations because we directly transmit into the target countries.
That is amazing. Well, it's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. You're on the Stars and Stripes radio show, and I get the honor of speaking to Mr. Charles Shepherd, the regional manager for Voice of America. And I hope that these are going to translate into opportunities for, radio broadcasters, tech guys in Botswana, and seeing how we can cross-pollinate, whether bringing tech on or entrepreneurship on or, the media, because whether we like it or not, I mean, like I said, I'm a big believer in Skillshare. I believe that, you can create a more competent society through simple initiatives like Skillshare. So with you being in the country, and is there opportunity? What opportunities are there for, broadcasters, media, tech, entrepreneurs to engage with Voice of America?
Well, what we have is a program sometime that we will have students from the university and also young students from schools come to the station, take a tour, look at the technology, see what's going on in the front office, see what's going on in the facility side, and try to get a whole picture of what we're actually doing there. They may decide that I don't want to get into the broadcast side.
Yes,
I'm happy to be on the maintenance side and keeping the antennas on the air, or keeping the transmitter on the air, or programming the studio equipment.
Oh,
so
nice.
There's just like so many different aspects that's involved with that. And I tell you, it's when you go back to Washington, D.C. and you see all the technology that's at the Voice of America facility there, you just can't believe how far we've come from telegraph.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Teletype. To where we're at now, and the audio is just absolutely pristine and clear.
Let me ask you this from a radio broadcasting point of view, analytics, right? I often get a lot of people, even in the entrepreneurship space, in the market space, say, look, what are your numbers? How do you guys tell that, your show between the Stars and Stripes show between 11 and 12 is got X amount? Can you break down the demographic? Are you able to speak to something like that?
Well, those metrics. Yeah. Now, I can't speak for the metrics for Stars and Stripes.
Yes,
but for the metrics, for what we're doing, we actually hire monitors.
Okay.
We have monitors spread out throughout the world. And our technicians, sometimes they don't like those monitors because those monitors will send an email immediately and say, at 11:03, you dropped the signal. And it was out for 2 minutes.
Wow.
Then I get that email and it's like, okay, why was it out for 2 minutes, guys? So that's why that's how we end up defining out the quality and also the timeliness of our program, and by hiring outside people globally to actually monitor the signal to make sure it's on the air. At the same time, our public affairs office in Washington, D.C., they actually have the metrics on how many people that's actually listening.
Wow.
So they have some algorithms along with the amount of data that they collect to determine how much is actually being listened to over the radio or how much is actually being streamed.
So tech support in radio broadcasting is an important element of the ecosystem or the infrastructure in order to deliver. Just speak on that for a second.
Well, this the shortwave broadcast, to give you an idea, maybe even going to Sudan, that may be in some mountainous area. So some person there is absolutely waiting for that program to actually come on because it's their lifeline.
Yeah.
So if the transmitter is not on the air, if the programming streaming to the transmitter is not there,
Wow.
then this person that's out there who's been waiting all day for this program, they're not going to get it. So technical support on the equipment is absolutely critical. As a matter of fact, periodic maintenance, whether it's monthly, weekly, annually, or yearly, it must be done in order to keep the systems on the air.
Well, it's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. Don't say the prolific Bansola doesn't give you the best. And of course, you've heard from Charles Shepard, the regional manager of the Voice of America, talking radio broadcasting in a very different light. We did touch on the entrepreneurial support, the tech support, and the importance of merging these two. I mean, I really, really enjoyed this week's show. And of course, please feel free. Remember, you can go to www.genglobal.org. That is the Global Entrepreneurship Network. Lots of opportunities out there. And of course, www.abc.org.bw. That's the American Business Council. Look, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, there's lots of opportunity within the nation. And the beauty about it is that you can do some of these things remotely. What more is better? Mr. Shepard, let me give you this opportunity to share your parting statement.
Radio, TV, it's more powerful than a missile. It's more powerful. That was what Hitler actually found out during the World War II.
Yeah, with Goebbels.
Because it changes people's minds.
Yes,
What you
absolutely.
do here, the show today,
Yes.
it has absolutely guaranteed changed someone's mind on the way they look. So it's much more powerful. So I just say continue the good work.
Well, I think, Ephraim, that's part of my report for the show. So I'm just going to cut out that clip and I'm just going to send it to the U.S. Embassy. They make me write reports every quarter, and I'm just going to cut out that clip and say, here's your report. And you're absolutely right. If we look at Rwanda and how the genocide started in Rwanda, it started because of the power of a microphone. And you're absolutely right. Propaganda, even in the weapon of propaganda between Russia and Ukraine, you can see that they're using media is being used as a weapon.
Absolutely.
So you're absolutely right. Thank you so much for taking the
welcome.
time to
Thank
be
you
a
for
part of
having
it.
us.
How long are you in the country for?
Well, I'm actually stationed in Salibe Pikway. However, I run also the site that's in Kuwait as well.
Oh, nice.
So between the two, that's why I'm the regional.
Okay, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Kings and Queens. You're on the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. Now, listen up. We don't have the Queen in the building. She goes by the name Moabile Tau. But listen up. This is what President Obama had to say at his State of Union address in January 2011. We are home to the world's best colleges and universities where more students come to study than any other place on planet Earth. What's more, we are the first nation to be founded for the sake of an idea. Ideation is so important. The idea that each of us deserves the chance to shape our destiny. That is why centuries of pioneers and immigrants have risked everything to come here. It's why our students don't just memorize equations, but answer questions like, what do you think of an idea and what would you do to change about the world? Kings and queens, that's why you got to reach out to the Education USA office. Please feel free to Google them. Go on to www.bw.usembassy.gov. You can get so much information. Check out the Education USA office, and definitely you'll be able to get a lot more information. Kings and queens, I go by the name King Swifty Swift, otherwise known as the Prolific One, aka the Prolific Bansola. And of course, see you same time, same place next week, Friday, 11 to 12 is the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Mission America in Botswana. Good morning.
The Stars and Stripes show was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.